Gentlemen, here for the afternoon's racing. I am sorry to cut off the paddock show a little bit short there. You are going to miss out on seeing Lando the dog, unfortunately, but I have good news. We've got ready for some racing action here at GYG, don't we, Yusuf?
Woohooey! It's our first race of the day, although, to be fair, considering how some of them were battling in qualifying, maybe it's not the first race. There is Mr. Fraser Brunton himself, as we are going to jump on in to the grids.
So, yeah, we're looking at a fairly decent grid here. Jensen Goodall, Sam Bout on the front row here. This is our pre-B Cadet super lightweight final, of course. Finley Doran, Felix Rigby, Sarah Telford, Joshua Milburn. Moving on to our next row then, row 4, row 5 and row 6. Will be coming up in just a moment. So we're heading round our track now, just to get formed up and ready to go. It's our pre-B final for our cadets. Super lightweights.
And the first of our cadet finals, we'll be having juniors after. 7th is Lennon McNeish, Freddie Powell, and we've got to quickly go through the rest of those. So that is the remaining grid. Tina Chapman and Lewis Forster completing the grid. So eyes then towards the front of the field as they make their way into the final corner. Fraser will pull off to the side as a pace car driver, and our cadet super lightweights will be underway.
They will be indeed. They head down the tram lines, then they've got to stay in formation heading down those tram lines to make sure that we all get a first start. Might have had a bit of an issue with that, but we head through the first corner now, and we are underway for our first race of the day. 11-minute race for our cadet super lightweight pre-B final here at GYG. Everyone making it up the Dragon Straight, all looking relatively clean so far.
And don't forget, the most important thing about the B final is not winning. It's about getting promoted to the A final, as we've got a lot of fighting going on into the hairpin at turn 2, but it's been a good start from the 24 of Jensen Goodall, and he's just going to be trying to get his head down and just pull away as quickly as he can before the drivers behind start to get into that slipstream train and start to chase him down, and the main driver is going to be the 38 of Finley Doran right behind him.
Yep, this is a mighty important phase of this race, of course, because these are not long races at all, are these? 11-minute sprints, not the shortest races we've seen, but certainly by no means long running for our carters out here. So look, set yourself up nicely for the race coming next as we head around that final corner. Then Jensen Goodall leads on to the next lap ahead of Finley Doran, Sarah Telford in the mix here, as well as we see our front runners going 4 wide there briefly. Then we have our next 4 carts also shaping up for a bit of a battle as we head down the Dragon Straight once more.
It's been a really good start from Dexter Hazeldine, who started down in P11. He's actually up to P6, and on the back of this train in the number 11 car, trying to go around the outside. We got a spinner at turn 2. I don't think there was any contact, so I wonder if he lost it on his own. Maybe we can see a replay later and see exactly what happened, as there's a bit of bumping going down into the carousel. So it's getting really big news for, sorry, no, it's not Jensen Goodall. It's Finley Doran who leads. So was it Goodall who went around and went from
Felix Rigby, who had a bit of a spin earlier on in the lap. Unfortunately, running in P4 at the start of this lap, not the way he wants to continue on in this race. As we head down towards the end of the lap 1, some more here. Still looking at Jensen Goodall, as you say, tumbling down the order as well. So he was clearly involved in that. Finley Doran there. Finley Doran 3/10 apart from Ethan Hall as well.
Yeah, so here we go then, starting lap number 3. Finley Doran hasn't been able to pull away like crazy from Ethan Hall Jr. as they go through the hairpin. Ethan does have the fast lap. He's got a good run coming out of the hairpin. He's having a little sniff to the inside of the carousel, going to make Finley go a tiny bit defensive and maybe even try to get the switch back, but can't get up at the inside. The top 4 starting to break away from the rest of the field. You've got Sam Vout and Sarah Telford directly behind these two to make up that 4-cart train that now makes their way out of Spoon and into the compressions. These ever-tightening hairpins, and wide goes Doran. The door completely opens for Ethan Hall. Through he goes, and there's a penalty for Sam Vout in 3rd position. An ABC, a bump and pass. Not quite sure what that was, if we caught it on camera or not. But up the hill they go, and Finley Doran now looking to fight back against Ethan Hall.
Yeah, it's been a great drive up to the lead of this race for Ethan Hall. 55.5 on that last lap, feeling that pressure though, rather, as we headed down into the 2nd sector, because here is Finley Doran having a look around the outside, the number 38 cart there, seeing if he can get a move done through the carousel. It's not usually you see it done around the outside there, but it's possible. I mean, of course, these are the slightly smaller cars here, these cadets, so got a bit more tarmac to play with as we head down through the S's now. Ethan Hall just keeping the measure of his rivals here. Potentially Sam Vout poised in a very good position actually as well as Sarah Telford, because all this battling going on between the two front runners here, they're going to be right in the mix to be able to make up any positions if something were to go wrong. The
unfortunate thing for Sam Vout is he cannot progress to the A final correctly, so even if he wins, he'll finish 5th, and that won't be good enough to get him into the A final. I wonder if the other 3 drivers that he's battling with will be aware of that. A little bit of a defensive line from Ethan Hall Jr., just trying to make sure Finley Doran can't go up the inside as they head down the hill, and he can see that semi-defensive line from Ethan Hall as Finley Doran sneaks up the inside. Was there a bit of loading? I think it might have just about been clean, and maybe Ethan Hall went wide on his own accord, but a change for the lead.
Yeah, I think it was just opportunistic there by Finley Doran. Saw an opportunity but loses out as Ethan Hall back in the lead as we head down through the switchback. Sarah Telford at the end of the previous lap gets ahead of Sam Vout as we now move on down towards the first corner once more. Sam Vout swapping positions though with Sarah Telford. Dexter Hazeldine, new fastest lap of this race from P9 on the road. We've got a bit of a pack forming up here. Our front runners, of course, enjoying their battling at the start of this race. That has slowed them down ever so slightly, and now we've got a big train effectively all the way down to 10th position here.
The fighting is just going to get more and more intense. Been good work for Sam Vout. He's up to 2nd. Now, Ethan might not be aware, as we mentioned before, that Sam Vout has a penalty, a big penalty as well.
Yeah, that is less than ideal. That is a less than ideal way to start the day's racing, but Ethan Hall is just trying to keep control of this race at the moment, as there's a big spin there. That is Sam Vout.
Oh.
No, it's Finley Doran. It's actually Finley Doran who went round there briefly. There was a bit of contact with the cart in front that sent the cart flying, and that is disaster there for Finley Doran. Looks like Jensen Goodall caught up in that as well. Actually, it looks like he went round for good measure, and that is a massive shame for our 2 drivers who had such a good start to the race. One small incident, of course, with that big pack forming up, they're severely punished.
Yeah,
with
and
a small
it's just
issue like that.
almost a desperation of trying to avoid the incident. I think jamming on the brakes and ending up going around just a little bit wrong place, wrong time. I don't really think anyone was particularly at fault for that. It just sometimes happens in racing. And Ethan Hall, Sam Vout are now scot clear. It's all about this battle for 3rd place that will become the battle for 2nd between Sarah Telford in 3rd, and then it's Amanzi Nwozu in 4th place, followed by Freddie Powell and Finley Doran down in 6th.
Yeah, one thing to bear in mind is the drivers out on track may not necessarily be aware that their rivals around them have got these penalties to serve, so they're out on track thinking they're fighting for P3. Sam Vout might not be fully aware, although he's probably quite likely to know that he has that penalty.
Hope that he knows he has
so there is that big digi-flag on the start-finish straight, so you never know when we could still be fighting for P3 in their minds.
Yep, and
was that a potential yellow flag though we saw?
I think it was. Yeah. The kart tester Dante just raising his hand so that the carts behind him know that they can go past him, I'd assume. But here are 3 cars getting very close, and up the inside goes the 49. Lovely from Amanze Nwozu as he tries to, I think that's holding on to 4th rather than overtaking Telford. That is the 13 of Freddie Powell that is directly behind him.
Meanwhile, out in front, Ethan Hall there, nice 1 second gap at the start of this lap. That is huge in this race. We've seen Ethan's been able to stay in the front, but has just been controlling a small margin to the cars behind. But now, with the issues perhaps going on further down the order, has just been able to walk away and build up a nice, comfortable gap. Not completely comfortable, but certainly a good deficit. No, sorry, a good delta between the 2 drivers who are heading towards the end of the lap.
And Finley Doran has the new fastest lap of the race. That is the 38. Oh dear, is that Freddie Powell? He's going to drop further down the order. I think I saw the 35. Maybe that was Freddie Thompson also involved in it. But on a charge is Amanze Nwozu, who is closing back up to Finley Doran. So Nwozu in the yellow helmet, and then just in front of him in the blue suit and the white helmet, that's Finley Doran. And there is Sarah Telford just in the corner of your shot, now onto the back of Sam Vout as they head through the compressions, a little bit wide from Nwozu that time round as they try to navigate through the back marker of the 33. That's Ryan Hamblett, who gets well out of the way of the leading pack.
Looks like it was Freddie Powell caught up in that instant there. What a shame. Went quite deep into the corner around the outside there, carrying a lot of space, a lot of pace there, and unfortunately just was perhaps a bit too much there, all going wrong, but still can pick up the pieces, was able to get back underway by the looks of things.
Ethan Hall's been reeled in, Sam Vout is right behind him, and there's an unsafe release for Ryan Hamblett, so maybe he was in the pit lane, came out, or he spun and rejoined the track unsafely, so he has a penalty, but that is not going to affect his position, unfortunately, or fortunately for him, depending on how you look at it. But Ethan Hall now trying to defend from Sam Vout. Sam Vout has nothing to lose. He's got a penalty. He's not going to make it into the A final. He just wants to win this on the road. But for the likes of Ethan Hall, Sarah Telford, they need to think a little bit further than this pre-final.
They do indeed, and there's not long of this pre-final to go now. As we see, Ethan Hall really has the work out for him now after looking pretty comfortable with that second margin just a lap or so to go.
Here comes Telford. Telford's got a really good slipstream going up the inside. Finley Doran going to try to follow through as well. The 61 of Sam Vout left to hang around the outside. And there comes Dexter Hazeldine putting on a move on Amansi Nwozu. So Hazeldine is up to 5th. Don't forget, he started outside of the top 10. As there goes the 61 of Sam Vout back up the inside of Telford, but cannot reclaim the position as the 52 gets out of the way of our leading sextet of karts.
They do indeed there, but now it is a proper train form as we head down the S. It's not long to go on the clock. This will actually be the final lap of the race that we're heading on to now. 50 seconds left on the clock. Our front runners are now heading around that final corner. We are now ready for one last lap here at GYG for our Cadet Super Lightweight North Pre-B final. And what a lap it should be. Ethan Hall looks over the shoulders ahead of Sarah Telford. Finley Doran with the paces caught back up. But now it's all going to be a question of who comes out into the second sector first.
Will Telford be able to get the inside? Well, they are on the inside, but going around the outside is Finley Doran, squeezed up onto the grass, has to cut over the kink of turn 3, hand raised in the air, and there is Dexter Hazeldine, but he gets pushed, and there's contact. One car goes round, that's Finley Doran, that's his chances gone. Ethan Hall one there that he has to deal with. He'll take the checkered flag surely, and Sarah Telford will have second place ahead of, is that Sam Vout? I think it is, but Vout will have that penalty. And there is a penalty as well for, that's Ryan Hamblett, which we saw before, but Ethan Hall takes the pre-B final for the Cadet Super Lightweights.
Yep, Sarah Telford comes from second, Sam Vout third on the road, Dexter Hazeldine and Amansi Nwozu rounding out our top 5 there. What a finish to that race. What a shame for Finley Doran, though, for that late race incident there. Was able to come home P7 on the road, actually, with a fastest lap of the race overall. That obviously wasn't on the last lap, but it was a 54.0 rather. That brings an end to our Cadet Super